Yes, people, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, greetings, wherever you are in the world. This is, of course, Oris Talks Football, and we are, of course, beginning this session, of course, which is the Game Week 17 preview. But given that we never really did a review, of course, of the last game week, I will obviously mention briefly how the teams fared in their previous games, and sort of segue that into this round of games. And we have had some very interesting results in the last week. Interesting, of course, being an understatement. And we're going to find out how they segue into this round of games. And I always say, of course, that regardless of how well or how badly you performed, you are only as good as your next game and not your last game. And before I bring our guests in, we do have, of course, one of our big supporters, Chelsea fan in the building. Big up to you. Thank you for joining in. And to everyone else who's coming in, do place your comments in. Do smash the likes and subscribe to the channel whenever you can. And just enjoy the show while you're here. And of course, we are now going to bring in some of our guests. First of all, one of our regulars, DJ Sinclairo, Ollie Sinclair. Good evening to you, son. How was your weekend and how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Weekend was good, yeah.
Less said about the football, the better, but at least we will have to discuss a bit of that, I guess. And of course, our second guest, and hopefully there will be more, is another of our co-hosts and someone very close to my heart, Mr. Trollope himself. Good evening, Bert.
Yes,
you all right?
people. Another lesson coming this weekend. Another one. Sheffield United at home. Can't wait.
We'll talk about that. But listen. Let's not, get too giddy about everything. And before we get into this this round of games, I just want to ask you very briefly. I'll start with you, Orest. Not Orest, Ollie. Yeah. Just briefly, and you don't need to, be completely specific. How did you enjoy the last week of games in the Premiership? Ollie.
I didn't enjoy the Arsenal game.
But did you watch any other games, obviously?
Yeah.
What do you like? What was your? Did you enjoy any of the matches? Like main talk points out of that last game week?
No.
Not really. Fair.
Yeah, but of course, as you mentioned, Hanno, we also had some midweek games in addition to the weekend games. I wonder if you were quite happy with the results you had. Maybe in some ways you were, some ways you weren't.
Well, we lost to United and lost to Everton, so not really anything positive. We're probably going to lose to Sheffield, but the other games, the other teams are shaping up nicely. So, for example, Luton probably should have got a result against also all City, really. Villa, massive week for them, beating both City and Arsenal. Of course, if they win this weekend and Liverpool also drop points, they go. They will be joint first. And Spurs, it's massive week for Spurs too, coming back from that massive loss. Well, from that loss to West Ham, of course, to beating
Newcastle.
Newcastle 4-1. So and Bournemouth.
We're coming to Bournemouth in a minute, and we will talk about them. But Forest have also had a very difficult game period as well, where they were swamped at the Cottage by Fulham and struggled at Molineux to get a point against Wolves. And so there is, of course, a lot of talk about whether Steve Cooper will be the right man for the job going forward. But for now, he seems to enjoy a little bit of support. And sadly, though, for Forest, what was touted as being their pillar of strength this season. Their home form has not really been kind to them. The loss to Brighton certainly shook them up quite a bit, and they will obviously need to try and get some of their confidence back. Goes without saying. And we already have a prediction for this game. Chelsea fan predicting a tight win for Tottenham. But as mentioned, Hannah, you mentioned that Spurs obviously have the better lead up to this game with that win over Newcastle. But they're going to a Forest side, which still is on their day fairly tough to break down. But without Awoniyi, the goals are going to be a little bit hard to come by. It could very well be that Spurs will still need to tighten up their defence, because one slight mistake can let one of their players through and they can score. But I'll start with you on this one. Slightly contrasting fortunes for both teams leading up to this match. How do you see this one panning out? And tactically, where do you think this match will be won and lost?
I think both applies. What's it? First manager, can't remember his name now.
Steve Cooper.
Yeah, Steve Cooper, under a lot of pressure. That draw definitely helped him, because there were rumors that if he did lose the Wolves, of course he will get sacked. So I think he's almost saved himself another game. But they haven't been in the best of form. They, in the last 6 games, 1-1-1 draw, 4 points in 6 games, not the best. They do score goals, except Fulham and Everton, but we see that they can score goals. But Spurs, on that hand, they will give this game a go, and for me, just tactically, Spurs, the way they play will just be too much for Forest, really, because if you look, that high intensity of Spurs of end football against the Forest side, it's gonna be tough. Of course, they will be up for it at home Friday night kickoff. I reckon it's just that a little too far for us to climb. I don't know. Do you want my score prediction as well?
Yeah, if you can, that would be good, bud.
Yeah. I want to say 2-1 for us, but I'll keep it 2-0. Of course, Spurs do create lots of chances and miss lots of chances. So it will be very interesting to see if it's. That's why I don't really think it's going to be like a 4-0, 3-0, 4-5-0 type game, because they will miss chances. But never know. But Spurs should win this 2-0.
Okay, Ollie, what do you think is going to happen in this game? And I know that you've got a soft spot for Forest as well, right?
Yeah, but I don't think Forest will win this game. I think Spurs will win this game. I think it'll be I think Spurs win this game 2-0.
Well, I'm probably going to go with Chelsea fan and say maybe 2-1, and that's me being conservative, because one thing which seems to be apparent is that Tottenham will find a way to concede a goal, because there will be some defensive mistakes, and we all remember how Destiny Udogie played that dreadful back pass, which was intercepted by Ward-Prowse, and that, of course, led to West Ham's winner. Thankfully, Udogie fulfilled his destiny by scoring his first goal against Newcastle. But look, they will concede some goals, and keeping a clean sheet will not be very easy for them. That is, of course, the Friday game. And now we're going to sink our teeth into the Saturday game, starting, of course, and we aren't going to come to Bournemouth, Hanno, but let's start by getting your prediction for this one, Ollie. Bournemouth versus Luton. It's the bottom half of the table clash. Luton starting to show some spirit, but Bournemouth also, they've been buoyed by some terrific results The
Um,
away wins over Palace and United were outstanding. But Hanno, I will come to you. But Ollie, just give me your prediction first, if you don't mind. What do you think
Yeah,
is going to happen in this game?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Okay. Now, Hanno, yeah, I was just about to say, and I will come to you, that Bournemouth's recent results, ever since getting their first win over Burnley, have been nothing short of magnificent. A terrific win over Newcastle, which were, of course, depleted. They ran Unai Emery's Aston Villa ragged at Dean Court. And then, of course, these terrific away wins at Crystal Palace, which is very unexpected, and also at the shambolic Manchester United, where they beat them 3-0. I just got off the stream with my friend Craig Beasley. Shout out to Up the Cherries in all departments. And he was talking, of course, about how the tide has turned at Bournemouth so wonderfully. And that a lot of people are now saying that you never should have doubted Andoni Iraola. But I ended up saying this shouldn't just be a purple patch. Every game that Bournemouth play should be an opportunity to improve themselves. And with that open style that Iriola's playing, I think the players have started to respond to it. But there will be times, as I said, where they will have to be a little bit more pragmatic. So I'm sorry if I interrupted you. What was your train of thought, please, Hanno?
my trade of thought was that Bournemouth, if they win this game and Chelsea draw points, any points, and Fulham lose to Newcastle, we could see Bournemouth just for a few minutes in the top 10. Um, so in 10th place, of course, if Fulham don't get any result there, they could be there. But they will be there at 10th because Everton are in 14th. So it could be a massive game for them. So they could be 10th till tomorrow when Brentford play Aston Villa, of course. So and Wolves play West Ham away. So it could be this is a massive game for Bournemouth, but so for Luton. If we look at the table, Everton are starting to create a gap, 4 point gap. They play um, Burnley away, which isn't easy. We'll see what that game delivers. But if Luton can get a point and hope, well, actually should just hope Everton and Burnley draw, because of course Burnley, if they win, they could go above Luton. Um, but Luton, they would want to win, um, and I think this is one of those games, almost like the Brentford game and the Palace game. Oh, not sorry, not Palace. Yeah, Palace and Forest game. Um, where you must win to just keep yourself alive, to not start, not go, to not fall behind the pack, basically. Um, really. So a result, yeah, is massive for them. That creates a tiny gap with Burnley, for Burnley Everton. But Luton Everton, if Luton can somehow beat Bournemouth, that gap is only 1 point, which could be massive. But I think a draw is the most for me what Luton can get. Um, so yeah, as a score prediction, I just think Bournemouth. Like, there's no way you can go from beating United 3-0 away from home at Old Trafford, winning there for the first time, keeping a clean sheet there for the first time, scoring 3 goals there for the first time. Uh, it's no way you can go from that to losing at home to Luton. No disrespect to Luton, but just it's a big contrast. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm going to edge it to Bournemouth. Really, 2-1. I'll give Luton a goal, but wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth do keep a clean sheet. Um, and home record isn't that bad. They have yeah, they've only lost 4 times out of. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Four times out of 8 is pretty bad record at home. So in terms of losses, they should win this. If Bournemouth drop any points, big big questions.
Yeah, and of course, Craig was speaking to me about how their next run of games against Luton and I want to say Forest, then Fulham and Tottenham should be promising. If they can get to 28 points by the end of the year, that should be promising for them. I might actually go with a 2-1 win for the Cherries myself. But Chelsea fan, here's an interesting prediction. He actually thinks that Luton might actually catch Bournemouth on an off day and pip them 1-0. It's
After
not necessarily impossible, but I'm pretty certain that Iriola will not want his boys to go from the high of winning at Old Trafford to losing at home to Luton, as you've said. But, stranger things have happened in football. And let's not forget how Aston Villa went from the low of losing at the City ground to beating Manchester City and Arsenal. So, things can happen. This is a jammy league at the best of times. We've got Mr. Beaverhive in the chat. I believe he's watching West Ham's Europa League campaign. They are currently 1-0 up. And obviously, he's not happy with England in the cricket. It's going from bad to worse. So if you are an England cricket fan,
saying this.
I didn't need that, but thank you. And Chelsea fans saying big up Mr. B. And so that's pretty much it. And if there are any of you who hopefully will be coming in a little bit late, lateness isn't necessarily greatness, but then better late than never. Now, of course, Hanno, you were saying it, a potential heavy win. I think it's fair to say that...
No, money.
Okay, maybe not a heavy win, but I think it's fair to say that anything less than a win against Sheffield United. You were talking about how Bournemouth couldn't afford to draw against Luton. Surely you cannot afford to not win against Sheffield United.
We cannot afford to lose to Sheffield United.
You can't afford to draw either.
We can't afford that. But knowing our owners, they will somehow get money to pay that for us to lose or draw. Look, last season we had a joke like XG and stuff like that. Now we make it XG expected goals. Now XL expected losses. I'm not expecting a single point from this game. Best I'm hoping for is a 1-1 draw. But like Josh Fan says there, it reads my mind. Sheffield United 1, Chelsea 0. Sheffield United park the bus, gets a goal. We can't attack to save our lives. If you looked at that Everton game, it was shambolic. We couldn't go forward. We can't defend even more. Money. Last season, at least, I could say, well, we might get a draw. Like, get 1 point at least. We've got, I think it's 39 wins. Sorry, 39 points in 39 games. Maybe it's now, maybe it's changed. Maybe 39 points, 40 games, but something like that. Our home record is disgusting. So this game is set up for us to lose. If I have a look at our home record, we have won 2 home games out of 8 home games. So we beat Brighton at home. We drew to City at home. Lost to Brentford at home. Drew with Arsenal. Lost to Villa. Lost to Forest. Beat Luton. Drew with Liverpool. So our home record is disgusting. And this game's just set up for Sheffield United 1-0 win.
Oh, come on.
All the ingredients.
The ingredients. let me
We've
say
got
this right now to both you and Chelsea fan. As shambolic as you think you are, Sheffield United are even worse. Yes,
also Chris Wilder. Chris Wilder. I think he has a really good record against us. I might need to check it. Chris Wilder. They beat Brentford at home. We couldn't beat Brentford at home. What's that telling you? But continue, man. Continue.
yeah, well, I think you had to mention Brentford with Mr. B for Hive in the football chat. He's not really, he doesn't want to talk about that, and I think there's a reason why he didn't want to come on. But look, as I've said, as shambolic as you think Chelsea are, Sheffield United have been worse off the field, and on the field. So have some faith. I'm going at least for a 2-0 win. Ollie, do you concur with that?
I'm going 2-1 win. Yeah, 2-1 with Chelsea.
Okay,
I'm
so
for
listen,
Chelsea.
both Ollie and I are predicting a win, and the Chelsea fans are predicting a defeat. Be positive, lads. I mean,
What's what
things
can
may
I
be
be
bad, but
positive
they're not
about?
that bad.
Look, what can I be positive? A 19 points. Um, we're on 19 points. We are 19 points. We are closer. Everton are 6 points behind us. They would be above us if they didn't have the points deduction. What's positive about that? We're linked to three 16-year-olds again. Who else is there? Um, uh, well, at least like we played good when it didn't get results. Now we're not even playing good. So yeah. But also Chris Wilder's record against us, 5 games, 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses. So it's not that good, but still, it's got to win and a draw in there. And I think that's recent history. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, Mr. B is not very happy with you. He wants me to send you off. Mr. B, I'm sorry, mate. I'm not a referee, and Hanno is, of course, a co-host. He could send himself off and leave the stream, but I don't think he wants to do that. But listen, next time you're on a stream together, you can have it in as much as you like. And so listen, the Chelsea fans are predicting a loss. The non-Chelsea fans are predicting a win. It will be a jammy win, but listen, have some faith. I'm sure you'll get it together. If you don't, you are welcome to come and ridicule me on the next stream.
Why
No
would I
questions
ridicule
asked.
you? Because you said a chess win and we lost. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, fingers crossed we
It
won.
is
Fingers
what it is. It is what it is. Now, in earlier seasons, of course, this team would be Manchester City's bogey team or one of them. And in fact, Palace have beaten City at the Etihad in recent times, but those days are gone. The Eagles' wings have, been defeathered, if not clipped. They've lost a few straight, including a loss to Bournemouth. They lost to Luton. And Roy Hodgson claiming that the fans have been spoilt of late. Not the best choice of words from the old warhorse. Not looking good for the Eagles. And City are finding ways to win once again. I think this can only go one way. Ollie, give us your thoughts and what's your score prediction?
Yeah, this should be a pretty straightforward Man City win. I'm going to go with a 3-1 City win.
3-1.
Okay, well, Chelsea fan has gone for a 3-0 win. He doesn't think that, Palace will even score. And I probably wouldn't necessarily agree because I think City, with their experimental backlines, will concede some goals every now and then. I think clean sheets will not be something that is their speciality this season. But Hanno, once again, we see Manchester City specializing in the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to getting results. When they win good, they win wonderfully. When they're bad, they win in a jammy manner, and when they're ugly, they often lose or draw. Are they struggling? Are they stumbling? We saw them lose to Villa, where they were completely swamped by Emery's team. Pep's tactical genius is letting him down. What's up with the citizens?
I think there is problems, but it is getting sorted. Of course, they the midfield is the main issue. He hasn't been able to find a balance between without Rodri or Stones there. If one's there, it doesn't work with Kovacic or Nunes, has been the main problem, and that's putting pressure on the defense. Um, so just a midfield issue. Um, I would maybe say Nunes. Personally, if I was Pep, of course, ours isn't there. Sorry, Haaland isn't fit anymore. So what I would do if I was Pep, I would put Rodri or Stones or both, but let's say Stones is on the bench. Rodri, Kovacic, Nunes, uh, um, your you're free, and then um, you've got
Grealish, Foden.
Alvarez.
Yeah, yeah.
No, sorry, yeah, maybe no, sorry, Rodri, Nunes, Foden, Foden, Silva, Grealish, Alvarez.
So
Front,
you want to play Foden on the left side of midfield, do
no,
you?
in the middle, Silva on the right,
Hmm.
because he usually plays there for them. But Pep does switch him and put Silva in the middle, but yeah,
I think one lesson that Pep learnt from the Villa game is never play Rico Lewis and John Stones as your two defensive midfielders ever again. And look, it's his fault he lost that game. You got Kovacic on the bench, you got Calvin Phillips on the bench. You start with those two instead, Stones and Lewis. You're asking for trouble. But he should get his act together. And I'm actually tempted to agree with Mr. Sinclair, and I'll be going for a 3-1 win for the Citizens. What's your score prediction, Hannah?
I don't know really. For me, it's tough to predict it actually because I've had so many strange games. Um, I think City do keep a clean sheet because I don't think really Palace offer anything forward. Question is 2-0, 3-0. I'll go 3-0. Yeah, 3-0.
Right, so this time around, the Chelsea fans are also in agreement, and you've got the non-Chelsea fans in agreement, but this time on the scoreline. Seems to be a theme. I wonder if it will continue with this game. Newcastle against Fulham. The Magpies are also finding their wings getting defeathered. Fulham are starting to score goals, albeit only at the Cottage. Not too sure if they can repeat the trick away from the Cottage. But the Geordies do have some problems. And are they in a slump? Will this slump continue? Or will they somehow find a way to get out of it? Because they're up against a Fulham team, as I said, that are starting to score a few goals, although it will remain to be seen whether they can repeat the trick away from home. And I just wonder if maybe, just maybe, Fulham are in a sort of a golden run of form where they can somehow find a way to get in behind that Newcastle defence. The injury enforced absence of Nick Pope has probably affected them a great deal because Dubravka hasn't exactly been convincing. And but there have been some more injuries as well. And the team looks a little bit low in confidence. Hanno, do you think it's a good time for the Cottagers to be coming over to St. James's Park and playing them? I'm not. I don't. I think the only loss they've had at home has been to Liverpool this season.
Yeah.
But could Fulham make it their second loss at the Park, or will the Magpies somehow find a way?
I think Fulham will definitely give them a go, but Newcastle should have enough. Um, they do have a few problems. I think if they start Kieran Trippier again, um, they it's definitely not going to go well. South Lewis, oh, that's the reason they lost that game. Kieran Trippier is it? It's not good. It's not good. Um, His legs
Ooh.
is gone basically. I've put I haven't put the scoreline down for this one. Um, because I can't see a Newcastle win and a draw. Um, question is, do Newcastle have enough in their legs? Um, I'll go with the flow and go 3-2 Newcastle, but it could go either way because Newcastle aren't on the best of form.
Yeah, well, Chelsea fan thinks that it should be a Newcastle win, 2-1. For me, it's really hard to see where they can go from here. But before I give my prediction, Ollie, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Newcastle are going to win this game. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the 2-1 Newcastle win.
So this time around, you're agreeing with Chelsea fan, and
Yeah.
I'm also I'm actually inclined to stick my neck out and say that this could be a draw. It's not going to be the win that Newcastle will need, but at least it will halt their run of losses, and it should be a Desmond 2-2. Mr. B saying that the Geordies are completely mucked over, and he's gone for a bit of a shocker over here. There will be goals, but Fulham might end out on top 3-2. A bold prediction, because it's one thing to get some 5-0 results against West Ham and Nottingham Forest at the Cottage. Can they repeat the trick away from home? And that is what remains to be seen.
Well, they did score 4 against Liverpool, so
True, but then Liverpool scored 5. And so,
no, sorry, they scored 3 against Liverpool, and Liverpool scored 4. Sorry.
right. So, well, of course, that was another, completely jammy game where Liverpool's defence let them down. And, of course, Liverpool
Well,
played
the
earlier
defense
on in the
actually
Europa
saved
League
them.
tonight.
Because
Well,
all their defenders scored.
Yeah,
But
but still, you don't want to concede 3 goals in that way. And, of course, full time from Saint Gilloise, they had lost 2-1 over there with all the goals coming in the first half. At least credit to them, they kept, a clean sheet in the second half with Queeman Kelleher in goal, but Queeman Kelleher is now Alison Becker. Let's get that right. And of course, now we come to the last of the Saturday fixtures, Burnley against Everton. And Everton, of course, riding the crest of a wave. As you mentioned, Hannah, you were one of the victims, and they've started to create a sort of a gap, as you've said. Burnley have also started to show a little bit of a pluck. I believe they drew on the Saturday against Brighton and Hove Albion, and they also had a very tight 1-0 loss to Wolverhampton Wanderers. It might be too little or too late for Burnley to be saved. And coming up against Everton, of course, the return of Sean Dyche, Dwight McNeil, and Jimmy Tarkowski, all the way to Burnley. Turf Moor. It will be an intriguing match, and there's going to be a part of me that thinks that Sean Dyche will spoil the party and take away the 3 points. Ollie, do you concur with me on that? Do you think Everton will win, or could Burnley spring a shock?
I think Everton will win this game. They're on a good run of form, and I think they'll continue it. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 win.
3-1 sounds good. I mean, for me, I'm probably going to go for a 2-1 win for the Toffees. And you mentioned that, Hanno, they're on a good run of form. They're opening a bit of a gap, and Burnley are below them and fast sinking like a stone. What do you think Vincent Kompany should do to try to stop Dyche, McNeil, and Tarkowski from coming back to their old stomping grounds and crashing the party?
I think firstly we have to give props to Burnley. They are playing some good football, but they don't really get the results. But Everton have only beaten Burnley once away from home. Let's just take that into account. Last few games, only one time, and that was in 2018. So yeah, um, of course they beat Sheffield United at home. That was their last um, game at home. They drew with Brighton away, which was a big um, result for them. Mm, I want to say Burnley win. Um,
Ooh.
and something is telling me Burnley win. Um, but when you play predictions league, you can't always go against the grain, especially if you're chasing those in first place. So we will go with 2-1 Burnley win. Oh, sorry,
Wow. So
Everton won. Everton won. Sorry.
okay, so 2-1. So you pretty much concur with my result. I think it is fair to say that we can't expect Burnley to do very much, but again, stranger things have happened. Dyche obviously will be in no need of motivation for this particular game because, of course, in his final season with Burnley, he was sacked before the end of the season and Burnley ended up getting relegated. So he will want to prove a point and hopefully end up winning all three. And what will happen in that game? We shall have to see. That is, of course, the evening kickoff at 5:30 UK time. Now, of course, we come to the Sunday fixtures where we have the real, meat of everything going on. And in alphabetical order, we've got three games, starting with Arsenal against Brighton. A jammy win over Luton, followed by a very unimpressive. I'm going to say that Arsenal dominated Villa and should have come away with the 3 points, but I was doing the watch along, of course, for Hannah's channel. Shout out to Mr. Trollope for providing the link and making it happen. I'm only sorry that we couldn't get as many views for that as you would have liked or I would have liked, but it was good fun and it was interesting in many ways, not so interesting in others. And Brighton, of course, the draw against Burnley and a loss to Chelsea in their last two games, of course. And of course, they are also currently up against a Marseille team, which includes the ex-Arsenal and Chelsea striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's returned to form of late with some happier news in his personal life. Brighton need to beat Marseille to top the group and go through to the next round straight. But if they don't win, they end up having to face a playoff. And if Aubameyang were able to find the net and break Brighton's hearts, that should hopefully, leave Brighton in a demoralised state for when they come over to the Emirates. But I'll tell you what, Arsenal's home record against Brighton has also been very abysmal. We've had some dreadful defeats against them, most notably last season's 3-0 reverse. I don't need to talk
Also,
about that.
top for bottle job 2 seasons ago. Brighton 2 also won at the Emirates, and of course last season 3-0. Last time.
I was mentioning
Arsenal,
last season. I've told you our record is awful. Whether it was against Potter or De
you,
Zerbi, they would
you have
come and
only
just.
in the last 5 games since 2019 onwards at the Emirates, you've only beaten Brighton once. Once.
That is a dreadful home record. And so we've at least had the consolation of being able to qualify for the next stage of the Champions League, of course, as group winners. And Simon Davies saying he's actually watching the Brighton game. It is 0-0 at the moment. So Brighton need to win to top the group. And if they fail to win, they will go into the playoffs. So thanks a lot, Simon. Do keep us updated on that, if you will, please, mate. And maybe this is a good time to play Brighton because they're not in the best of form at the moment. But we have several points to prove, and we need to win 3. Hanno, do you think we have a prayer?
Yes, you do have. Because oh, actually looking at it, seems like most of the players is back. Just a few players for Brighton that's still injured. But Lewis Dunk is back. Of course, we all know his relationship with Arsenal. Um, up to Lewis Dunk. I think also should win this. What will the scoreline be? Um, 2-1 Arsenal. I reckon you get it through. Um, it will be tough. Because Brighton are on a muck. But look, all I'm saying is, uh, also should win. The pressure's on them. If they lose this, and the next team will get onto Villa, gets a point, or gets a win, hopefully a win, they go above you if you drop any points.
Once again, Unai Emery will prove to be our nemesis. He knocked us out of the Europa League. Could he end our league campaign? That is another story for another day. And Simon Davies has said it perfectly. We're pushing our luck, results-wise, and certainly in the Luton
Also,
game. That
I know there's been this narrative around Arsenal, but we can't just say it's Arsenal because Liverpool have also been getting lucky. They have got more points from from scoring goals in the 80th minute to full time than any other team. They above us, I think, with 11 points and also on 9. So yeah, but no, sorry, no. Maybe Liverpool 14 and also 11 or 9. So, but
look at Mr.
yeah,
Trolloc
so
with the stats. I love it.
both teams do like to score late, but to be fair to Liverpool, last 2 games they have scored late ones, so that's the only time.
Sometimes it's just your time, and that's the gist of it.
Hopefully
Well,
for Liverpool, yeah.
yeah. Well, before we get on to Ollie's prediction, I'm going to actually predict a 2-all draw, and I'll tell you why. Because there's this part of me that thinks that somehow Brighton do have an extra motivation to come to the Emirates and really do well. Buoyed by their home record, I think they're certainly going to want to try to make sure that we never forget our poor results against them. We seem to have a habit of really, soiling ourselves whenever we come up against them for some reason or another. But also, as Ollie knows well, whenever I predicted an Arsenal draw, we've always gone on to win. So for me, it's a 2-all draw. Ollie, what about you, son?
Yeah, I'm confident for the game. Obviously, as you said, our record against Brighton at home isn't the best, but I think we can win the game 2-0.
Ooh, a clean sheet for David Raya. Interesting. Well, obviously, Ramsdale played in the midweek game and didn't put a foot wrong. Not really to
Yeah.
blame for PSV's equaliser. How did you think of, if you watched the game, Ollie, how did you think he performed?
He performed well, yeah.
One of the better players.
Yeah.
I just hope that maybe he'll get some games in the FA Cup coming up in the new year, but that is, of course, another game for another day. Now, of course, I don't know if Mr. B is still in the chat, but we are, of course, going to talk about his team. And Hanno, of course, segued into this. Brentford against the high-flying Aston Villa. Buoyed, of course, from those impressive wins over City and Arsenal at Villa Park. But their away record, while not bad, has not really been the best, and they will have to improve on their away record. They will be without Douglas Luiz, who picked up a booking against Arsenal and who will miss this game. So they will either have to put in Leander Dendoncker or Jacob Ramsey to sort of cover that hole in the midfield. But the Bees, of course, are without Brian and Buemo. Ivan Toney still won't be back for them until the new year. Hard to see where the goals are coming from. Mr. Sinclair, what say you?
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Mr. B, Aston Villa will win this game. I think they'll get quite a few goals as well. I think Brentford will score, so I think it will be Brentford 1, Aston Villa 3.
Brentford 1, Aston Villa 3. Ooh, a very bold prediction there. I might be inclined to go for a 2-1 Aston Villa win. And Hanno, let's come to you now. Obviously, as I've mentioned, Villa are going to be missing Douglas Luiz, who has literally been the main man in the midfield, the driving force, if you will, given how well he's played. It's fair to say that there's a reason why Arsenal wanted him, but Emery and Luiz himself have made it crystal clear that he's not going anywhere. So his loss could perhaps give Brentford some hope, if only they didn't have Mbuemo out. So you did mention, of course, that if Villa were to win and Arsenal and Liverpool were to drop points, if Villa could find themselves on top of the league. But Villa do need to improve their away form, and games like this need to be won. But can Villa do it? Or will Brentford somehow manage to spring a surprise?
Manny, you do say they need to improve their away record, but they have only lost 3 games away from home. So that was against Forest, Liverpool, and Newcastle. Newcastle first game of the season. Liverpool, it's Liverpool. Forest, fair enough. Of course, they have drawn a few games they probably should have won, but then again, they only drew to Bournemouth. So I think that's also a stat that's been almost plucked out of thin air. Just media making exaggerating something, but they do perform bad away from home. I don't think Brentford will have a sting, unlike Mr. B thinks. They definitely need to find this thing, but I don't think they will this game. I think they did rotate somewhat. So I reckon it's let's go with you know what, Brentford do have a good record against them. Let's go. No, let's go with a 2-1 Villa, but Brentford do have a good record against them. I will just mention it.
Yeah, and so just briefly before we move on, I did mention that Luis will be suspended for the game, which means that either Dendoncker or Ramsey could come in to try to shore up that hole in the midfield.
I think it will be Yuri Tillemans, Manny.
Tielemans alongside Camara, you think?
Yeah, Kamara.
Because the thing about interesting.
But Tillemans is Tillemans. It sometimes doesn't provide that work rate, but we will see. Of course, they've got John McGinn, so I think John McGinn might just stay a bit more behind.
The problem with that, though, is that McGinn normally plays on the left wing, and then you have a situation where it's either Bailey or Tielemans on the right wing, which is why I often say that instead of having Tielemans in the middle, where sometimes he needs to work even harder, it could very well be Dendoncker or Ramsey coming in. But Tielemans isn't a bad shout, though, and we will see if he can, get it done. Because against this Brentford team, Emery's going to want a workhorse who will keep things moving. I'm not too sure that Tielemans is necessarily going to be that person, but I'll tell you what, he has improved his play under Emery. What do you think?
No, definitely. I think the work rate will be key, and Tielemans isn't really that type of player, so we'll see. But I could see Brentford pulling off something. But we won't go against the grain. We'll keep follow the trail with the predictions. Of course, in life, not always good to follow the trail, but yeah.
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 win for the Villains to continue it, but obviously Mr. B is hopeful for a draw. Chelsea fan also thinks it'll be a draw, a Desmond, as it was against Bournemouth. And Villa, of course, obviously have to find some way to do better away from home, but they have shown that they can be fairly resilient. And speaking of Villa, they are currently 1-0 up in their Conference League game I think it should have been over by now, really.
Yeah, it's
No,
over.
they
It's
actually,
1-1.
They drew
Yeah.
1-1.
they actually got a draw against Mostar with a late equaliser from the Bosnians, but the draw was enough to secure top spot in Group E, so they go through to the last 16 of the Conference League, avoiding a pesky playoff against a third-place Europa League team, so well done to them. I think Emery rested a lot of first-teamers, so he has a decent first-team lineup ready for Sunday. Bees better watch out. And from the Bees, we go to the Wolves, who travel all the way to a West Ham side that lost, that beat Spurs on their home turf, but then got swamped 5-0 by Fulham. And of course, as far as the Wolves are concerned, they've had a brilliant last 2 weeks, but prior to this one, but they've started to lose their way a bit. A tight 1-0 win over Burnley, but then a draw to Nottingham Forest. And they've also been, victims to some pretty poor refereeing decisions themselves. But Gary O'Neill does have them playing a very compact style, and it has, of course, been effective, especially in terms of securing a home win against Manchester City and a 1-1 draw against Aston Villa. And they've also proven that they can really compete well. And O'Neill's has done a fine job with a Wolves team that was in a bit of a mess when he joined. But West Ham are still no mugs. Of course, they played like mugs at the Cottage, but now they're back at the London Stadium. Ward-Prowse, Bowen and company. I think they probably might have a little bit too much for the Wolves. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for the Hammers. What do you think, Mr. Trollope?
West Ham, starting 11, Freiburg, fully strength side. And they are, of course, rumours. Well, I think West Ham fans know it. David Moyes doesn't trust anyone outside this first 11, which is Fabianski, Southwell, Gerd, Emerson, Soucek, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, so on. It's right. West Ham fans I know are saying it's destroyed so many of the players' confidence, like Aaron Cresswell, who was usually a regular, doesn't get games. Maxwell Cornet doesn't get games. Danny Ings, Ben Rama. So even Tilo Kira, players you usually see there. It's destroyed them. Wolves don't have the best record at West Ham. So I will still go with West Ham win, but if West Ham don't turn up in a few of the games and Wolves do, could see Wolves getting something. But I'll go with it to no. Let's go 2-1 Wolves. Sorry, 2-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 West Ham win as well. Ollie, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'll agree with all you guys. I'll go 2-1 West Ham.
Okay, well, we've got Mr. B going for a 1-1 draw. Chelsea fan predicting a 1-0 win. I think Wolves are going to find it a little bit difficult, but you just never know in the Premier League. Maybe Gary O'Neill's starting to find life a bit difficult, and he will have to improve the confidence of his players. And now, of course, we come to arguably, or maybe not, given how poor the fortunes are of the away team at present. Back in the day, this used to be the Marquee clash, but now you see Liverpool at the top of the league, United in an absolute shambles at the moment. Ollie, you and I can both agree that this can only go one way, a Liverpool win.
Yeah.
3-1 to Liverpool. What do you think?
I think 2-1 Liverpool.
Ooh. Interesting. Of course, Liverpool's defence will have a lot to try and answer, but I'm not sure they're going to be quaking in their boots at the prospect of facing Martial, Rashford, maybe Hoyland or Garnacho or what have you. Hannah, you've been watching United and Liverpool for quite some time now. United are in the mud. They're going to be there for quite some time, one would think. What seems to be going on with the Red Devils?
I think United. It's a collection of problems. Yeah, the to not up. It's a collection of problems at United. But you look at players, and they're not playing for the manager, of course. But Ertan hasn't helped himself. He's coming out in press conference saying, um, we we were the better team. For example, I think Bayern game, and there's another game. Um, they lost, and he said we deserve to get a result when they didn't because they played rubbish. Um, so I think he's out of his depth. He's got full control, and he's used it, mm, the transfer terribly. Also, to make matters worse for them, they do have a couple of injuries. Luke Shaw is out. Guaya won't be playing. Um, and Bruno is suspended. Um, and they are unsure if Rashford and Martial will recover from their illness to play this game. So no Bruno, no Luke Shaw, no Maguire. Those three. So will we see Mason Mount? I don't know if he's even back from injury yet. I don't think this. For me, this game doesn't scream 5-0, 4-0. Reason being is if you can't tell me, I can see Liverpool beating them, but I don't get this feeling of this game because United can turn up at times. They can, but I don't think they will score. I'll just go 2-0 Liverpool. Um, really, if they do score more, they do, but not really.
I think it's fair to say that if we want to give United some credit, it's probably not going to be like the corresponding fixture last season when Liverpool pumped them for 7 goals. At that time, David De Gea was in goal and on his way out. Now with Andre Onana struggles, a lot of people are saying maybe we shouldn't have been so quick to get rid of De Gea. It might be a question of how many the Cameroonian will concede. It surely has to be a matter of time before he is dropped. And yet Onana seems content to pick him in, continue to stick him in ahead of the other former Ajax goalkeeper by India. You've said that the players aren't playing for the manager. The manager shouldn't pick them, but as you've said, Hanno, it's slim pickings. All we can do, I think, as a means of wrapping this up is just hoping and praying for the sake of United and their fans that it won't be a repeat of the 7-0 drubbing. But you know what they say, football is a strange game. You just never know what might happen. With United being so low on confidence and Liverpool top of the league, they're going to want a response from their Europa League defeat tonight. And who better to turn out their frustrations on than the fallen giants that are Manchester United. And of course, we've had 2 giants on the panel tonight. Thank you to both. And we will, wrap this up right now. But I want to start, of course, by doing the usual of singling both of you out by saying thank you and tell us where we can find you and what you got coming up on your social media channels.
Yep, so you can find me Decent Care on YouTube. You can find me Decent Care on YouTube, and Ollie.Sinclair556 on Instagram.
And anything coming up as of late?
Maybe a stream coming soon on my YouTube. Yeah.
We'll look forward to that. And of course, we've got our co-host, one of my favorite people. Shout yourself out, Bert. What have you got coming up?
Yeah, no, first of all, smash a like, subscribe to Restock Football. On YouTube, Coach's Corner, Instagram, Coach_Corner, TikTok, Coach Corner 1, and then Twitter, Coach_Corner. First, do go follow Restock Football on Twitter. Seen a lot of tweets. Love United tweets. So keeping them in the troughs for in case something happens. So go check, of course, that out. So yeah.
Right. But before we also go, I know that you have made a couple of announcements on some of your recent streams. Would you like to
Um,
make them here as well?
about the charity, so that
Yes.
or
Yes.
okay. So yeah, I'll probably tomorrow add a new link, but on my Instagram, you guys will see there is a link for Make a Wish UK. If you guys want to donate that, we'll probably remove that and tomorrow put another charity on, just trying to raise funds for people or people, just charities really. So, and then also a good friend of mine, Harry, is struggling with um, bas- uh, a condition which in your ear there's a tube and ours is closed, his is open, which means he can hear his heart pumping, and he can hear himself speaking and stuff like that. So, he needs to get surgery. So, any donations is much appreciated. But so is shares. If you don't have the money, that's totally fine. For uh, don't have to say um, anything if you don't have the money, just share it to some friends and family. So yeah, trying to do some good this December, and if we do, and if we are able to raise some funds, we maybe continue it next year throughout the year. So yeah, that's just that.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. And as Hanno
Also,
has said,
I've got
whoops, my bad.
Facebook, Football for Life show. Link is in the videos on my channel if you want to go there. But Facebook Football for Life show. There. So yeah, sorry.
Beautiful. Thank you very much indeed. So, as Hanno has said, let's try to do something nice this December. It's not really been the best year in many ways for several people. One good deed can lead to a ripple effect. Let's do whatever we possibly can. But until then, thanks a lot to everyone in the chat who's joined in. Mr. B, Simon Davies, Chelsea fan, and a rather quiet stream tonight by our expectations, but still a stream nonetheless. I hope you all enjoy your Friday, enjoy the weekend on offer, and there's some good sporting action coming up in football and also in cricket. If you're an England cricket fan, of course, you might want to look away, but it is what it is. And just all I can say is take care of yourselves. Do enjoy your weekend. Don't do anything that the panel and I wouldn't do. But for now, as always, from the rest of us and from Morris Talks Football, we are out, and we will see you all very, very soon. Cheers.